Is about Commando R100 multifunctional cloud router with functions like wireless controller, load balancer with multi-WAN, auto failure protection, firewall, multiple VPN with captive portal, along with the array of powerful functions with 5 1G configurable LAN and WAN ports, ticketing tool with captive portal along with ticket based authentication, standard wireless roaming mechanism 802.11r, authentication servers to integrate and simplify traditional networking mode, AC management, portal authentication, deep packet inspection, 7-layer flow control, and along with intelligent networking with the help of SD-WANs. Commando Online Anywhere Access is a demand of time to have access of companies' DVR systems, any server like Linux, Windows, APBX, major networking infrastructure of any manufacturers like routers, switches, access devices like ISP routers, AP, APOs, bridges, to be available on any system to be accessed by top management, admin person for troubleshooting or for daily work. It is required to access it with any mobile, PC or laptop and from any location of the world via internet access. So with this Commando R100 cloud router, without any human interventions and without having any VPN connectivity infrastructure, this can enable remote CLI or GUI of your networking infrastructure with secure access without any hacking or any mad in middle type of attacks. So you can access your networking infra from any part of the world at your fingertips. So how to take access of such feature device? So for that, open the network settings, go to the Ethernet, change the adapter options, go to the properties of Ethernet and TCP IP property, use the IP address 192.168.1 from 2 to 254, any of the IP address. I am using 10. Subnet mask 255.255.255.0 and default gateway 192.168.1.1. After giving this IP address, open any browser and type the IP address 192.168.1.1 and the login page will come. By default, username is admin and password is commando. You can, with small case, you can change this username as well as password as per your choice. So after logging into this device, you can see the various system overview, monitoring and other things. So in system overview, we can see the name of the device, the status of connected WANs, then connection status of online host. These are all clickables and we can directly go to that page. WAN status, LAN status, then APs which are connected to this device, frequency band of operation, traffic flows for this device. Apart from that, link to the cloud, direct link, version upgrade link, message notification link directly will go to that page, and account setting like remote access, action logs and logout. And you can also choose the language from this right top page. So come to configuration of this device along with monitoring. Helps to monitor user devices, ports and that are already configured in the network setup. So in monitoring, we can set up an interface which displays the current enabled WAN and LAN ports of all interface status, which is refreshed automatically in 5 seconds interval. So if I want 2 LANs in my network, so for that, and 2 WANs, so I will go to the advanced setting and then I will disconnect the VTH port. By default 4 LANs and 1 WAN is configured. You can change the LAN and WAN settings. So I want 2 LANs having 2 different IP address and 2 WANs. So I will take this virtual port out of that, and these VTH2, VETH3 and VETH4 ports are released. Then for adding a LAN, I will go to the LAN and I will add one LAN and I will bind this VTH2 to that. And I can give the IP address for this LAN as per my choice. I can also similarly I can create the multi WANs by just going to the first WAN connection, and I have to give and bind any of the port, like I want to buy VTH4. So this will be binded. So this is my 2 LANs and 2 WANs are created, and only one port is, I can place this port in WAN LAN 3 or can have group with the LAN 1 depending and as per my choice. So I will make it in LAN 1. So I have created 2 LANs and 2 WANs, and I can change this IP address also for accessing this network by just going to the LAN settings and change this IP address. This will be changed. By default this is the IP address which can be changed as per user choice. I can also set up DHCP server. So by default this server is created. I can add multiple servers for each LAN, and I can select any of the IP pools, can select the LANs, gateway I can select as DNS, secondary DNS, and I can create the LAN to DHCP pool so that automatically the IP address can be given. I can bind some users to have the static IP address to this. I can add any of the IP address which are learned by the users and make it static. I can change the static blacklisting dynamic allocation to static, or I can have the MAC blacklisting. So this will add a security. Blacklist will blacklist the MAC. This is a blacklisting mode. I can whitelist, so that only will be allowed. Then DNS, I can have the preferred DNS. I can open the DNS acceleration services like proxy model UDP, proxy model DNS or HTTPS, cache mode a third agent as per the requirement. We can add reverse proxy DNS also here. We can have the multi-line DNS where I will have more than one WAN which is connected to different ISPs to get me the internet or particular service. I can give the primary DNS and secondary DNS for 2 WAN. So let us say this is for WAN 1 which is provided by service provider 1, and let us say I can add one more for WAN 2 for another service provider, let us say 114.114.114.114, and secondary DNS for that is this. So I can have the multi-line DNS also. We can have the IP MAC group. So this will help to have the manage the groups, IP MAC group bindings. We can also have the MAC groups. We can create the group and the MAC list can be there. This router, we can have the default route as well as static route for interfaces, or automatically it will be for particular destination or gateway. So let us say I want to have the default route pointing to the gateway 192.168.1.1 with the remark commando route. This is the default route. I can also have the particular network route added, and I can see the routing table by this command. We can also add the VLANs for, let us say VLAN 2. I can create the VLAN name. I can have the MAC address, IP address for this. We can also have VPN clients added for particular servers. So PPTP, server name, server IP address, username, password, MTU, whatever, and we can save that. For clients for L2TP we can add. OpenVPN we can add the clients for that. IPsec we can add the client, and for SD-WANs also we can have the SD-WANs with the help of this Commando router. You can have UPnP configured. So by clicking on UPnP, so you can add the UPnP server here, which will allow LAN IP mappings for particular range. Then you can see the UPnP status. NAT is a very important feature from where we can have the anywhere access configured. So I will add the local LAN IP, let us say, with TCP IP ports, let us say TCP UDP. This is the web page port for this router. So I will bind or give the IP address for. I can also have the extranet IP also, let us say public IP. I am having 110.1.1.2. So this IP, with this IP from globally, I can, with the port number 6500, I can open this page. So this is the logic. You can open not only R100 but any of the device like EPBX, router, switches of any make, CLI as well as GUI from this device. I can create the DMZs for the interfaces for extranet IPs with the LAN IP pool and protocols. We can also have IPv6 sets configured for this device. We can add the IPv6 set for a particular LAN interface. We can select the prefix length and we can have those features. We can see the IPv6 terminals connected and neighbor list. We can also have IGMP configured for version 2 and 3, and we can also have the uplink for these two ports. We can also enable all uplinks for this device. Then flow control. So in flow control, we are having the feature called as multi-WAN, which provide 4 adjustable LAN and WAN port for users to configure WAN port based on the needs and connect multiple internet lines for bandwidth expansion as well as load balance with auto failure recovery for reliable and efficient multiple load balance routing modes, including bandwidth based balancing routing, application optimized routing, and policy routing to bandwidth optimization. It has multi-vendor WAN lines, simultaneous access, simultaneous load sharing and balancing by different ISP, rotational use, load balancing with failover, which reduce the bandwidth cost. So this is a major feature of this device. You can have these LANs. You can also open the action, so you can add the load ratios for particular line and you can save that 1:2, 2:4 like that, and this will be enabled. We can also enable the smart flow control. This protocol will we can have any protocol like HTTP protocol, net flows to join for particular source IP address. We can also select the days for which this is allowed and the days for which it is not allowed. We can also have the port forward for this function. So we can, for next hop or gateway we can define, as well as external network line we can define with this. We can have this domain name for any of the interface. We can create the domain name. We can have the source IP, destination IPs. We can enable it for the week and we can set the time also. We can upload and download. We can add the any of the flows, incoming outgoing interface, and we can upload and download something. Smart flow control enables the 4 adjustable LAN WAN ports for user to configure enable flow control and can optimize the bandwidth and improve the network experience for important application, especially the bandwidth sensitive environment, where we can have this smart flow control and we can assign the priority for particular flows like web page, game, video, and download priority. So if I am having the download priority and this WANs, I will ask for joining this priority group. Then we can have the IP MAC limiter to support the bandwidth control for IP MAC connected to it. If you need to set a IP MAC limiter settings for interface, IP, source port, destination port, speed limit, mode for upload and download, this IP MAC limit is used for setting a speed limit value. So you can set the speed limit for particular interface, give the IP address or range of IP address, and this uplink or downlink speed can be changed. Say I want 100 kbps upload and 10,000 kbps download for these days, for this time. So for a particular IP address, let us say 192.168.1.10. So we can create those things. Then we can also add the MAC limiter for particular interface or particular IP, and we can have for weeks time, we can set the upload and download speed, we can add the group of MAC addresses, and we can do that. Then protocol library, we can have the custom protocols like HTTP, net download, file transfer, net message, net video, game, common protocols, and other speed tools and all. We can have these custom protocols. Then advanced custom protocol also we can add with the name, remark, and rules for those access. Then access controller, this is for accessing the wireless device, because this is a multifunctional router. It is having many functions, and one of the core function is access controller for Pro Series access points. So we can enable this. We can manage AP directly by connecting the AP. We can manage this AP. This will be populated here on this page. We can add up the AP group, and we can set the group name, policies for 2G, 5G, and other. We can upgrade the firmware from here itself. We can blacklist and whitelist particular APs. So you can blacklist AP to disable MAC connection specified to SSID, or whitelist AP along with all user associated with it. User information will give the information like IP address, MAC, AP information, SSID, signal connection time, transmission and receiving rate, along with the connected wireless device name and details. Then wireless network optimization is a radio frequency optimization process through which power, frequency, azimuth, channel bandwidth parameters are changed in order to improve the coverage area and improve the quality of signal. This helps to optimize 2.4G and 5.8G channel of entire network as per AP basis, and this optimized record is also mentioned for reference. Then authentication. This device allows online authentication of users. For viewing online authentication user, you can use the captive portal. So portal authentication is a network admission control NAC method. Portal authentication is a web authentication. Generally, websites are referred to as a portal website, and user authenticated by the portal website before they get the networking services. So you have to open this, save. Then you can set the VPN servers also. For PPPoE server, just save and enable and save, it will be enabled. You can change the IP address as per your will. For PPTP server settings, you can set that. You can also have L2TP server with this Commando R100 router. You can also have the Open VPN server. So no need to pay for any VPN infrastructure. You can create the server as well as client-based modes with the help of this device. You can have the auth account that is created in the internal database on the controller. You can create a user role like package account, self password management, general ledger access code, which will allow authenticate account using the captive portal. When used, user log into captive portal login page and gain the internet access. So if I want to log into captive portal, I have to go to the commandonetworks.com.cn website and I have to give the username and password, and then after giving the login, from here itself I can access and manage my Commando R100 cloud-based router. Then the accounts page, I can manage, I can create the account, password, authentication types, package types, speed for that package, and I can do online customer information, I can have that. So this way we can see the cloud Commando cloud login for particular R100. So number of users I can see, I can have the configuration, we can add the templates, wireless, we can restart, we can configure, we can manage the cloud portal. Then self password management, we can have the self correcting password mechanism open for this device. We can view the general ledger, what are the users, what tickets they are using. We can also have the access codes for ticketing based authentication with the expiry time. We can set the expire time for particular date or particular time, and we can create that. Then we can also push notification for the users with the emails, or this notification will come to anybody who is using the Commando based R100 based network. Then we can have the periodic notification for users, expiration reminders for a user, and dial up user expiration reminders. We can also have the behavioral audit to have activate audit for record free settings, web browsing, IM terminal, online and offline. So this is for knowing what purpose this Commando based networks are used. We can record everything, and we can also add some IP address for recordings, web browsing also, all everything can be recorded. We can also have the IM history view. So everything can be monitored and can be accessed by the person who administrates this router. We can mark MAC addresses, we can add MAC addresses, we can have the MAC control blacklist and whitelist. So if I blacklist some MAC address that cannot use this network, we can also have the website control by blacklisting any of the domains or the website or the IP address group. We can also have the URL based, you can give any of the URL and can disallow that URL from accessing the from any of the PCs or laptop connected in this network. We can replace the parameters, like if somebody is typing something, we can replace that. Then application protocol control, we can add the applications like HTTP protocol, and we can control this for weeks and time and priority as per the settings. We can also have secondary routing. This feature on the router to access IP address on the router and access server, allowing you to have the two logical subnet using one physical subnet to create a single network from subnet that are physically separated by another network by using the secondary address. First network is extended or layered on a top of second network, which can be routed separately. Note, if any router on a network segment uses a secondary address, all other routers on the same segment must also use the secondary address from the same network or subnets. So we can have no secondary routing, or we can have the secondary routing. We can also configure QQ blacklist whitelist. So blacklist mode, all QQ will be logged by default. QQ is not allowing to log in and in the blacklist. Whitelist mode, all QQ are not allowed to log in by default. Only whitelisted QQ logins are allowed. Then firewall. In firewall is a network security device that monitors and filters incoming and outgoing network traffic. It is a barrier between private internal network and public network to protect network by filtering traffic and blocking outsider from gaining unauthorized access. It monitors incoming, outgoing traffic and permit or block data packets or authentication based on the set of security roles. So we can have the ACLs added for any of the flows like TCP, UDP, and for any of the IP address, source and destination IP address, or any of the source and destination port numbers. So these ACL rules are set of rules defined for controlling the network traffic and reducing network attack. Then ARP bindings are IP MAC bindings used to bind the network devices IP address to MAC address. This will prevent the ARP snooping and other ARP attack by denying network access to a device with matching IP address in the binding list but unrecognized MAC addresses. Connection limiter. So some program use more bandwidth and we can limit the access for other user more important or other important application. The connection limiter helps control upload download speed on your network, and connection limiter also shows exactly what are more demanding network elements in your network. So IP addresses, we can join this group, can limit the speed and can for particular time, or we can have that feature also. Then advanced firewall, this will block ping from the internal network, ping from the public network, disable the tracer, hijack all ping values, discard invalid connections, enable internal DOS attack, enable TCP maximum message length. So we prefer to have this 1500. We can also set the advanced applications like dynamic DNS. We can add this dynamic DNS, a fixed domain name for DDNS client, and maps its latest IP address to the domain name. Then we can also have the intranet transmission functions. So we can check the penetration function with the cloud platform. Then we can also have SNMP protocol for transfer the network information. So we can enable the SNMP version 2C and 3. We can also have the application across 3 layers, which is client server architecture, 3 component SNMP manager, SNMP agent, and management information base. SNMP manager acts as a client, SNMP agent acts as a server, and management information base acts as a server database. When SNMP manager asks the agent a query, the agent uses MIB and provide a reply. So we can add 3 layer functions for SNMP servers. We can also have this wake up on LAN utility, which allows turn on one or more computer remotely by sending wake on LAN WOL packets to remote computers. Wake on LAN WOL allows a computer to be powered on or awaken from standby, hibernate or shut down from another device on a network. We can, for particular MAC, we can have this wake up function. FTP servers we can add, which is widely used for transferring files or TCP/IP based networks such as internet. FTP will allow application exchange and share data within the company or the office across the internet. FTP servers are solution used for facilitate file transfers across the network. We can also have the Samba server, which will allow end users to access and use file folders and commonly shared resources. So we can create a work group with these Samba servers, and router responds to each client request for either granting or denying access to share files and resources. HTTP server is a software that understands URL, web addresses, and HTTP, the protocol that browser use to view web page. So this HTTP server can be accessed through domain names of the website it stores, and it delivers the content of these hosted website to end user's device. Then UDP XYZ is a UDP to HTTP relay daemons. It forward UDP traffic from a given multicast subscription to the requesting HTTP client. UDP XY listens for HTTP request and issue that is issued by clients. Then services, we can have the ping, test, packet internet gopher connection between two network nodes by sending packets to host and measure the round trip time. You can test the hostname IP address with particular interface with ping packet counts. So if I want to ping with my IP 192.168.1.1 with this IP address with count 6, so I can start this. We can also have the host name also. We can also have the IPv6. We can select the interface on which we want to ping. So lot of features are there. We can capture the packet for analysis purposes for particular interface, IP, port number, MAC address with packet number, agreement type, support TCP, UDP, ICMP, ARP and other protocol types. So we can capture these packets. We can trace route to discover the IP routes along with the packet where forwarded by sending an IP packet to the target host and back to the device. The traceroute page shows the each hop between the device and target host and the round trip time to each such hop. Traceroute hostname or IP address with particular source interface also can define the maximum hop and timeout. So we can have the host or we can traceroute particular interface like this. So with one hop we can able to reach this network. Then we can also check for the throughput. So both this indicate the network performance. The term are often used together, but bandwidth refers to the capacity while throughput detail how much data actually transmitted. Throughput is a measure of network performance and it actual rate of speed that data in your network travel, like latency, jitters and error. We can easily calculate the IP subnet. With the help of this calculator we can have any of those IP address, let us say 192. I want to calculate this 192.168.188.0 with mask 26. So if I give the, it will give the range, the available addresses and I can get the IP address. We can also have the speed test for WANs. So it will show the minimum, average, maximum transmission and receive rate for particular interface. We can also have the diagnostic. This is a very easy way or proactive test for DHCP server interfaces, PPOE, gateway and cloud platform. You can observe the diagnostic information to easily locate and rectify fault accordingly it is easy to troubleshoot and support the network infrastructure. Then watchdog functions, you can also health watchdog for physical hardware, active health detection can be done with this. Logs you can have logs are generally for recording system information effectively and allows tracking, alerting, analyzing, and sometimes something is going wrong that can be shown up or that can be taken care of. It also determines the root cause of any issues. So these logs are of three types: user logs, function logs, and system logs. In user logs we can have the authentication login, ARP logs. So we can clean this log as per our choice. We can have the terminal logs. We can also have the functional logs for DSCP, for DDNS, for VPN clients and servers. We can have the notification log, then system logs and action logs. Alarm notification we can have for particular things. So with this video is very basic to show what are the functions available in Commando R100 cloud router. We have just gone through the settings which are available with this network device. Thank you.